Tomes, this is Cody and Austin, or Jason. Get started with the actual Rings of Power.
Yeah, we can dive right on in now that we've got our technical difficulties situated. All
Sounds
right.
good.
So, episode 5. How do you want to do this? Do you want to do the Harfoots first, or do you want to do
Let's start with Arendir and
Arendir?
Bromwyn. And the reason for that is because this story was on the back burner.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'll stop playing with that.
And you can kind
Uh,
of tell in this episode that they, in more respect, they really didn't care about it.
yeah, so they had brought this one to the point where it needed to be, and now they're trying to play catch up with everyone else. And so the story it was on the back burner, and the way I put it is they're keeping it warm, but it's not progressing like it was the last couple episodes. Although one thing I did love was seeing Theo decide to do what was right.
Yes,
That
that I thought was
yeah,
really good. But this is where for me, I'm torn in a couple ways. Again, I'm glad it's very much more on like we're seeing Theo now kind of go, you know what? I'm gonna be on the good team. I'm not gonna go to the darkness. I'm not gonna follow my forefathers. Then we go to his mother, who's like, yeah, I'm gonna go surrender. Like, and it's like, what else is there to do? And for me, I'm just like, I feel like I feel like Arendir's scene in all this is just like it got it kind of got shafted in this episode.
yeah, I can definitely see that. I One thing I did appreciate about that part though is looking at things how my own struggles and things in life where it'll get to something and there'll be that initial thing with it. So there's that first thing that they go through and they're like, no, we're going to choose what's right. We're going to do the right thing. And then something else happens that just makes it so difficult that you don't see the way through it. It's so hard. And then I am like suddenly overwhelming to the point where like, the only way I see to get out of this alive, for me to survive, for my son to survive, for all of that, is to give up. If I give up and swear fealty, then we'll live. Otherwise, we might have a heroic last stand, but we'll just die. And
Yeah,
we and so
and
sorry,
actually,
go ahead.
I was gonna, and I actually really like how the brain process goes through that. I just wish we had like a little bit more of that buildup of seeing her struggle with her choices because it doesn't really come across like I'm struggling with this choice. It's like, oh well, you know what? It's in our nature. I'm just gonna go. Like that's where I'm like,
That's fair.
really?
Yes, I agree. Like everything else in the show, there was not the buildup it needed for a moment like that.
And again, I think we can just summarize this entire show of like it does not have the buildup that it needs in order for it to be a successful story.
Yes.
Just because everything, like even leading up to Aaron Deer, the whole thing with the sword, how it's now a key, I feel like that was pulled out of left field.
Yeah.
And just a lot of this just seems very, again, as I kind of said before, just kind of janky. It just does not really it's not cohesive. Like there's a lot of inconsistencies to even the orcs in sunlight. Yes, they have the clothes, but sometimes they're able to just fully be out in sunlight wearing these cloaks. And then
Yep.
we see him like very, very timidly pulling it back, and it's like melting his skin.
Yeah.
Like it's so inconsistent.
It is. Uh, I agree. Very inconsistent and doesn't have the buildup it needs. Those are the two main negatives to this show.
Hmm. They do have a lot of good elements, which is where for me I just see this entire series as just a tragedy because they are trying to cover so much material so quickly to try to get it's very much like I'm pretty sure both of us have been in this case, but we're in the middle of a D&D campaign and we're trying to rush to the end so everybody can go home.
Yep.
That's what it really feels like. Is just like we're skipping over events when honestly what we need to do instead as a dungeon master go, you know what? We're gonna let me find a good stopping point. Let me find a good place to pause, and then we'll continue this next time. So that way we can truly delve into these characters instead of me just trying to force a story.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
We're actually now finally getting to the topic.
I know, right? We'll get there eventually.
We'll get there when we get there.
Okay, so honestly, that's everything I have for Arendir and Brahman's story. I'm
uh,
that
y-
was really everything I really pulled from it.
yeah, because there really, again, there wasn't much. It's just very, again, it got shafted. It's just, and for me, I thought just the ending was weird to it. They're just like, yeah, the tower is a symbol. Like, we got to, and then it's just like, then they look up at the tower. I'm like, I have no idea how we got here.
Oh, so that one actually, so they had an idea with it. Is
They're gonna
they talked
destroy the
about
tower.
yeah, bringing the tower down. So they're gonna set it up to knock everything down and crush the enemy as they come up the hill.
Okay, like that makes sense. It's just like it's weird, like how they got to that point. I'm just like, wait, how did we get here? Like again, it's just it was so weird how they got to like I was like, I know they're going to destroy the tower. I was like, and coming from like, you thinking siege tactics, that makes sense, especially if they're up on the hill, which they are,
Yes.
to destroy the tower, knock them down. But from what I understand is like the path doesn't go in front of the tower though. I don't think.
No. So
That's
I
why I'm just like,
cheated a little bit
okay,
and I watched the preview for next episode,
okay,
and it they have some plans. They have things that it looks like they're doing for it all to come together.
okay.
That's
But
all I'm gonna say. Because
it's all good. It's all good. That gives us more to talk about next time.
exactly. Next episode looks like it's gonna be a great one for Arendir and Bromwell. I am
Okay,
very excited for that.
I hope so. So now next part, what do you want to cover?
Let's go Nori and the Stranger, the Harfoots.
Okay, yeah, the way the episode started off, the conversation those two had is just it feels weird. Like don't get me wrong, I understand that. Like, okay, he doesn't exactly know how to speak English, so the communication there is not going to be great. But even still, like it just like the conversation feels ill explained and like it feels forced.
It does.
Like, that's for me what I again, for me, I was just like, it just feels wrong. As I was watching through, I'm just like, "This just feels off." Like, it's like, heck, I've even seen conversations with people who are deaf and people who don't know how to sign or anything like that go smoother than this.
Yeah. I'm I feel like the Stranger has a lot more head trauma than
Mhm.
should be for an angel or whatever
Wizard.
they call him in this. Yeah, the wizard that crashes down. Um, just to the point where, yeah, there's things like that where I feel like it's dragging it on simply to drag it on so the other stories can progress.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of a feeling I get for this one.
Yeah.
However, something I do really enjoy, I guess, is continuing on. Is there anything else you want to talk about that part about the conversation and such?
Nope, that's it. Just like it felt weird, felt off, just like and the way she just explains death, I'm just like, "You could have explained that better."
Yes, I agree 100% about that.
And then
Definitely
all
could
the
have explained that
trials, turmoils, and all that stuff, I'm like,
perils.
"Yeah." Were they saying perils? I could not understand what she was saying.
Yes, originally it was perils, and then he says, "I'm a peril because I killed the fireflies."
Okay, okay, that makes more sense. I heard Harold. I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I have subtitles on because I'm watching this at 5:30 in the morning, trying to keep everyone asleep.
Oh, I know. Originally, like, every single episode I put subtitles on, but for as I started this one, I forgot to put subtitles on, so I was just like, "Okay, I'm just
Yeah,
curious, what can I hear?" It wasn't until we actually get to Numinor and, like, Galadriel is speaking in Quenya, that I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay, I need subtitles. I need to know what the heck she's saying."
Nah, it doesn't matter. Her character doesn't matter in the show whatsoever.
She really doesn't, like
I know. I had a thought of going back through all this story and just ignoring Galadriel's character and everything she does, and just everyone else. and I think we could do it. I think we could completely scope over her stuff, and the story would not change whatsoever.
Oh, I agree, 100%. Actually, we could just ditch Numinor in its entirety.
Pretty much.
All
At
right.
least until this next episode where they come in and save everybody. But anyways, back to Nori and the Stranger.
Yep, back to Nori.
So, so I loved the fight against. I think they were wargs. They were wargs or some other creatures that were similar.
Warg or
Uh,
just like kind of another fantasy version of the wolf. But actually, before we get to that scene, leading up to that, I actually really like the song they did.
okay, yes, yep,
The song was very beautiful. I'm gonna say that. Like, so I'm very much, and I kind of, and I can appreciate the song because I believe, yeah, it's gonna be called "Not All Who Wander Are Lost."
yes,
As kind of a homage to Gandalf. Like for me, I'm seeing it as more it's an homage to Gandalf.
yeah.
So I think the song was done very well, beautifully. The way they did the fast travel, that was done pretty good.
That's
My
right.
Yeah, just the way they
I'm
did the
sorry.
song and the fast travel over all that. The fast travel itself was, I'm just gonna say, interesting. Like it's not exactly bad, but it's not exactly like spectacular.
Mhm.
I do like how they showed like the trials and what they're going through during the migration, which for me, I'm just like, okay.
I thought it was really well done. Honestly, it just showed them as it progressing that it is difficult and all that stuff. I thought it was well done. Honestly,
Okay. I thought so too, but for I just like I always have like a little bit reserved. I'm just like, because I think that's my thing. Is just like I still have like the critic part in the back of my mind is like, okay, is there anything I could nitpick at this? And honestly, as I'm thinking back of it, I'm just like, not really. The song really helps give the tone. The struggles they had. Actually, no. The only thing that I was just like, okay, this is weird, and actually I even just crossed it out was like, how did they get so behind the other Harfoots? Like, are they even on the right path? Because during those flashbacks, we don't see the other parts of the migration. We don't see the rest of the caravan. But then
yeah,
and then as I was writing that down, immediately we see the rest of the caravan. So that's why I scratched it. I was like, okay, they're a little behind. They're not like miles upon miles behind where they are lost.
yeah. It just takes them longer to get to the destination because the dad still has that twisted ankle, like the really
Yeah,
messed
and
up ankle.
yeah,
So they're just traveling at a much slower speed, but they're catching up
but
by
they're
the
not
end of the
behind.
day. Yeah.
Yeah,
I found the origin of not all who wander are lost.
yeah.
These lines are the beginning of a poem about Aragorn quoted by Gandalf in his letter to Frodo in Book 1
Hmm.
Chapter 10 of that's
Yeah,
where that's referencing back to is
yeah.
about Elendil and the sword, like his sword and all of those things.
Hmm.
It all goes back to that. So that's it all just ties in really well. I thought that's really cool.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it very much pays homage to it. I just
Yeah.
couldn't exactly pinpoint where it was because I know Gandalf is the one that says, "Not all who wander are lost." I just couldn't remember if he was saying it to Frodo or Aragorn. I cannot remember.
Yep. So he says it to Frodo about Aragorn.
Okay,
Yep.
I thought it was Frodo, but I wasn't
Yeah.
100% sure.
Yep. They said all that's gold does not glitter, and not all that wonder is lost.
I'm sorry.
What?
Not all that glitters is gold.
Yep.
Smash Mouth.
They pulled it from Tolkien.
Yep. Yep.
I
Okay.
I bet they did.
I bet they did too. I bet they did too.
Okay.
Okay.
So that fight with the wargs where they hunt them, like chase after them right after all that. I
Yeah.
loved that. I thought that was really well done, really cool. Or wolves, I guess. I am.
Yeah, I thought it
It's
was
just
really cool too.
I am. One of the things I really liked is when he finally uses his power to defend them, how he was injured, and
Mhm.
I think this is going to lead into him getting his staff. Because he realizes by channeling through the staff, he himself will not get injured. He can smash the ground with the staff, send the power out, and he's not going to have a black and blue arm.
Yeah, and, let me think here. So this is where I'm going to dive into another fantasy aspect. So in Dresden Files, I like the way he describes the magic system in his world. I was going to say it's very much inspired by Tolkien himself, but just not put in modern time. For
Okay.
him, whenever he casts a spell without using a staff or not taking time, like just trying to do a quick spell, so to speak, it gives him a major migraine.
Oh, okay.
So I very much kind of like the idea, and it's something I've even began putting into like my D&D stories and stuff like that. Is a magical focus. Again, it's meant to help you focus. It's able for you to go. I have this here. I can direct the power there, and it's more of a conduit of magic.
Mm,
And then that's where, in it, the conduit could be stronger, could be more powerful. So as you put your stuff through it, it could amplify it, or it could be a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's what very much I believe. Again, I like where you're going through with the idea because I never thought of that. That could be what leads to the staffs and the importance of the staffs. I never thought
yeah.
of that.
And also, that staff, whatever staff he comes out with, is how we know who it's going to be. I still, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Gandalf, but I
Yeah.
really hope that it's Saruman.
Actually, I hope it's the blue wizard.
I don't know the Blue Wizard.
I believe there are 4 wizards. There is Saruman, there is Radagast, there's Gandalf, and then there I believe is the blue wizard.
Yes, the Blue Wizard. I'm just pulling it up right now on Lord of the Rings wiki. Um, tasked to
Because he is
circumvent
hardly talked
Archer
about.
Sauron. Yeah, he's only mentioned briefly, and I am in Lord of the Rings, and his Of the Rings of Power in the Third Age.
Mhm,
It's told that aside from Saruman, Gandalf, and Radagast, there were others of the Istari who went to the
mhm.
east of Middle Earth and did not come into these tales. So he's part of the unfinished tales, and so he was says that he's not part of these stories and these things.
Yeah. Say, be honest, though, it's most likely going to be Gandalf because
The
the
connection to the
reasoning,
halflings and all that.
not just
Sorry, go ahead.
that, I'm gonna say he actually has one of the rings of power, but he gets it secondhand.
Okay.
I can't remember off the top of my head who he gets it from, but he does get a ring of power secondhand. So I could see them trying to tell the story of how Gandalf got his ring of power.
Yeah.
So
So
that's
Gandalf,
more.
I know Gandalf got
Mhm.
his ring of power from Elrond.
Yes, that was it. He got his ring from Elrond when he came ashore.
So, okay, do you know where the Harfoots are traveling? If you have a map of Middle Earth, what section are they traveling through?
Let me see here. I don't. I got the map of the entire world of the Undying Lands and of Middle Earth. Uh,
Okay. Oh, okay. It can be the Blue Wizard.
okay.
So it says that there was 5 sent
Mm-hmm.
to like cut
Okay.
Sauron off. 2 of them were sent to the east and then to the south. There was Morin, Morin, Mornitar, and Romastamo, which means Darkness Slayer and East Helper.
Okay.
And so 2 of them were sent to the east and to the south to help take down Sauron and like to like cut him off with things and help take him down. So this could be the Blue Wizard or the other one, who I don't know what color he is.
Okay. Uh, I say, I'm gonna quickly pull up the episode so that way I can see where they're going through on the map.
So it says that they went to. I pulled it up. I am Rovanian. The Harfoots living in Rovanian, which is towards the northeast of Middle Earth. So
Northeast.
I
Okay. Okay. Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Rohan up to the northeast is Rovanian, straight down Mordor, and then to the south, Gondor in the middle left.
Oh, okay. I went too far north.
No, they're just north of Mordor,
Okay.
east of Arnor, over the Misty
Okay.
Mountain.
Okay. I was gonna say so they're going over the Misty Mountains. Okay. Because yeah, I was going further north, like Northern Wastes, Ongbond.
So yeah, this could definitely be the blue, or what is the other color?
I don't know. Which honestly, I think if they're going this smart, they go with the other color because nobody knows. But
I'm
anyway,
pulling it up just to see.
okay.
They're both
Do-
blue.
Ooh,
Sea blue for the other two. So white is for
interesting.
Saruman, gray for Gandalf, brown for Radagast, and sea blue for the other two, known as the Blue Wizards.
Oh, so they're it's a oh, it could be twins.
Could be.
Again, this is where we're like, oh, Tolkien's lore, we're loving it.
I know, right?
We love Tolkien's lore. So whether or not they're actually going to do that on the show is yet to be seen.
Yeah.
Which again, going back to how this is just very poorly built up. Now we're seeing this cult of whites, like these again white cultists following the wizard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're seeing them just now as we're over halfway through the series.
So it showed them once before. I remember seeing them once before, but they were more of a background. I am trying to remember where, but I know that I had seen them once before in the series. Maybe it was just the trailer, but I recognize them.
Yeah, like they were part of the trailer,
I
but
think
this is
they
the
might have.
first.
I think they might have been when they actually showed um the stranger when he was falling as the meteor. I think it showed them then,
Okay,
or at least one of them.
well, I'll have to go back and double check. But this is the first time like we really see them, and I'm just thinking
Yes,
this needed to happen sooner. This needed to happen when they honestly, that's how the one episode where they accept the stranger should have ended
I agree.
because they are in it for so small of a time.
Yes.
Like all they had to do was as it was walking off, have the happy music go, cut to the dark music as they're finding where he crashed.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And then that would build up the suspense and that will build up them. It's like, okay, no, they gotta get going. They gotta get going. Go.
Yeah. I agree with that.
So again, just it's very poorly executed.
I agree.
Okay.
Let's see. Anything else about Nori and the Harfoots?
I have one more note
Strangers.
with Nori.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I'm just saying, dumb move on Nori. He's got his arm in the freaking water. It's freezing over, and she's just like, "Oh no, I gotta save him!" and immediately touches him
And then gets mad at him when everything
when it's
happened.
her. Yeah, when it's her choice, it was her consequences.
She got in his way and she got hurt. And so this is why I put down with this. And this becomes a theme in my writing about the different characters. So Nori, as I mentioned before, how she was very manipulative. Well, it's because she's a narcissist.
Yeah.
She constantly does things just to do it because she wants to, without
Hmm.
any regard for anybody else. And if anything happens, it's not her fault. I didn't do this. He did this. He hurt me. And no, I'm going to run away. Um, Instead of he was doing something and I tried to stop him and I got hurt because of this, but he was healing himself. It's all those things of And yeah, so Nori, Isildur, Galadriel, all three of those are just straight up narcissists.
Yeah.
They all are exactly the same character, like almost literally, all three are exactly the same,
Oh, yeah, no, no,
just
now
in
that you mention
different
it, I'm like, "Yeah,
areas.
nope, that makes sense, that makes perfect sense."
So that was that. And I understand getting freaked out by the power and then being scared and running. I understand that side of it. However, it's the side of it that she literally tried to intervene on something that she knows is dangerous,
Mhm.
and then she's mad at him for like it's yeah.
She's mad at him for her poor choices.
Yes. That was my last note on Nori and the Stranger.
Yeah, I think that might have been it, just freezing the arm like that. Her entire thinking process just made no sense on that, and for me, it depends on what she's gonna do with that information. Whether or not she's going to, like, go tell the other people's like, "Oh, no, he hurt me," which actually I think this is where it could be an interesting character dilemma. This is someone she spoke up for. This is someone that she, in every respect, put her and her family on the line for.
Yes.
And now she is going, "Oh, crap. Did I make the right choice?"
Yes. And that side of things I actually appreciate and I'm excited to see how it turns out.
So this is where for me, I'm like, I'm curious to see what she does. But her as a character, not the biggest fan. She's just like she's mini Galadriel.
She is. Yep.
All right,
Yep.
now should we talk about Galadriel and then we can end on like Elrond and Durin, end on a good note?
I'm sure. So I have Isildur and then Halbrand and Galadriel. So I have like two sections.
Yeah,
Which
I
would
was
you
more
prefer to start
thinking
with?
like I'm thinking like let's cover all again. When I say Galadriel, I'm thinking let's just cover all of Numenor. So that's Galadriel, Isildur, all of that, and then we can end
Okay.
with Elrond.
Okay. I'm so which part would you like to start with? Just Galadriel herself?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so main thing I think one of the first notes I had actually, you know what, let me go through my notes here. And
Okay.
'cause, where else? Uh, just all the elf racism, like, it's unwarranted.
It is, but at the same time, at this point, I'm just kind of like whatever about it. I could just skip over that in my mind and just keep going with the rest of the story because it really, I don't feel like it plays that much into things, and then it randomly plays into it a lot, and so
Yeah,
it's just
it's so
yeah,
inconsistent. It's
it
just so
is.
inconsistent. And then
I
the whole yeah, actually, first note I have is Isildur. Isildur trying
okay,
to be a patriot.
okay. So I where did I start? As for Isildur, they're doing my man dirty. I still feel like they're doing my man dirty
Oh,
from
they
the
are
original
doing him
story.
so dirty.
They're I mean, they're nailing what they're going for, though. I just don't like it. I again, he's a raging narcissist. That's never wrong unless he needs something, and then he'll apologize. But even his friends call him out on that. Of you're only apologizing because you know that I can do this for you.
And he's just like,
I,
"Can you?"
and that's instantly because he's a narcissist. He doesn't care about anyone else. He doesn't care about anything else, and that's where it's really irritating because I still, as much as I know that he is the one that later on falls, I want there to be a fall. I don't want it to be I lied my way into this position and lied my way into going to this war, and then I'm already wicked, and so it was easy to corrupt me. I wanted to see a king fall. I want to see
Ex
someone that I loved and be heartbroken that he lost him.
exactly, like, this is where we need to really iterate how strong the One Ring is Isildur needs to literally be some of the best of men, like,
Yeah,
one of the best. Like, we
this is
need to see this.
Aragorn's heritage, where Aragorn himself he's able to turn away the ring, but he wasn't even actually touching it, and he was so tempted by it.
Exactly. Like, again, he is Isildur's heir, but not Isildur himself.
Yes.
he's just we need to really see that Isildur is a good man. We need to see this, and we need to see someone honestly, like, I'm gonna just mention this, how honorable Elrond is. We need to see that in the men. We need to see
Yeah.
this in Isildur,
Yep.
because
Ah,
then we can actually feel the power of the One Ring and how strong and how powerful it can corrupt. So we need to have Isildur be built up as the strong man, which if they're trying to create that character arc where it's trying to build him up, okay, but I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing it as this is a man who is lying, cheating his way to get what he wants.
exactly. Um, I don't like it. Although this did give one of the other greatest moments for Elendil. I love his father, favorite character,
Mhm.
and where instantly he goes, okay. And from his perspective, he goes, oh, he just saved someone's life. All right, he proved that he's trying and that he's doing something heroic for everything. Even though it's not the actual case, but from his perspective. But even so, he doesn't just let him straight back into it. He's like, nah, you're mucking the stalls.
Exactly. It's like, honestly, he responds as a father would. He really does. It's just
He
like, all
does.
right, okay, you did one thing right. So you know what? I'm gonna let you in. But you're still gonna have to work your way up. I am not giving you any type of special treatment.
Yep. I mean,
This is like,
Isildur right before that literally says, "Oh, I earned my spot here," and then his dad comes and goes, "You still have to earn
it's
it."
like, yeah, yeah, you earned a slot. Yeah, you're cleaning the stalls. You earned this. Which for me, I'm just like, oh, he might know. He might know
I
because
know.
again, because in my mind's eye, sorry, Keeman is super sketchy. He is
Yes.
super like snaky. Which honestly, again, as we said before, they could have built that up a little bit better.
Yes. Okay. Can
But
I? Here's my part about his sister and that guy. Whatever.
go
I can't never remember his name. So
Keeman.
yeah, I don't feel like they laid like the foundation for her at all to be opposed to the war. It was just like suddenly she's conspiring against her dad with her boy toy. I mean boyfriend. I mean the kid she keeps in the friend zone until
I
she wants something.
know.
I mean the son
I
of the second most
know.
influential person on the island.
Seriously, like I know, like sorry, in my mind's eye is like they're trying to create this kind of relationship. They've only been on one date.
I
One.
know.
Don't know what happened on that date, but it was one date. And immediately, like, I know there is greater in you. I know you can lend your voice to your father's ear. You need to speak louder. Just like, you've been on
But
one date.
but here's the thing that I do love about his sister and about that character. Even
Mhm.
though I hate how that's going and I don't feel like they laid the groundwork, her doing it, how she's doing it, feels the most natural of almost anything in this show. Her
Interesting.
talking to him and being like, "Hey, talk to your dad. I know he'll listen to you if you speak louder." And just being that whispering ear, like the whisper in his ear, and then talking to her brother and she's the whisper in people's ears, and it's very realistic and very natural for her character to be
Yes.
talking to these people. That part right there is brilliant. Everything around it fails. Her character itself is brilliant.
Yes. And which this is where I'm gonna kind of jump straight to the end. Honestly, where this episode ended, that's where the season should have ended. Like
Yeah,
them going off into war, going off into battle. And they should have spent this entire first season building up the politics, building up Numenor. They should have spent it on the political games. Like again, comparing it to Game of Thrones because that's what they were wanting
going for yeah,
is if you look at season one and the politics that go into King's Landing, the conniving, the manipulation, the subtle deals, the backroom deals, the brothel deals, everything that is going on through there, you really like, okay, you slowly become one of the political schemers. Like, okay, we have Littlefinger doing this, we have them doing that. The spider, he has influence over the city because he knows everything that's going on in the city because of the kids. Okay. It's very much more on you actually feel like you're part of King's Landing and the political atmosphere that's going on there. Whereas Numenor, it is very surface level. They're like, yeah, this is what's going on here. Whereas
So
Isildur's
what's going over there?
sister,
By the way, we hate elves.
exactly. That's the entire thing. It's just like, oh, yeah, this is going on. Hey, elves. Hey, elves. Okay, now we're going to go back into the little bit of politics. Hey, elves. Hey, elves. Like, it's just, it is so bad. It's just so weird. It's not built up. It
No,
needs
it's
to
not.
be like, honestly, like, okay, to really build it up, instead of just Galadriel there, have a couple other elves that are up to no good, where then it's
You
Galadriel trying
started
to
making
fight.
trouble in my neighborhood. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, keep going.
Have them causing some trouble in neighborhoods, getting in some fights,
Moms get scared.
where Mama Galadriel is getting scared because they are slowly losing their influence, and she is having to confront the elves that are in Numenor, and that's where I could see this. Like, that's where it should have been happening.
Yeah, I still don't
Not
understand why they hate elves. I'm not gonna lie, I still don't understand it.
Same
I don't.
here. It's just
I
it's so random. If anything, it's more of like their well, my guess is it's like it's jealousy because the elves are basically at top of the food chain.
yeah,
And so like the men are jealous and like we want to be better. So to be better, we got to hate them first. But this
yeah,
is where they did one small political thing correctly. It just needs more buildup. But with Farazan, as
mhm,
Keeman goes and talks to him, is just like, why aren't you opposed to this war? Why aren't you like, I know you don't like elves, just like me. Why are you siding with the elf? Why are you taking orders from the elf? And he's just like, who says I'm taking orders? You're not
yep.
seeing the bigger picture.
I love
And
that part.
I was just like, that is the first political thing they have done semi correctly. It needed to be built up more. We needed to really just see that. We really needed to feel that. Whereas
Yeah,
Galadriel is then taken into the court of Numenor and shown what it's like and why people don't like the elves. Like we needed to see that.
we
We need to
needed
see
to
it.
understand their perspective.
Exactly. We need to really see it because again, this is where they're not doing well. They're telling, not showing.
Yes.
They're
Yep.
telling us they hate elves, but they're not showing us why they hate elves. They're telling us all this stuff, but we're not really seeing it. And that's where for us, we're like, this is just not going to cross well.
Yeah, I agree.
Cause, cause again, that entire thing where he's just like, "Are you kidding me? The trade that could be in Middle Earth, we could get ore, we could get wood, we could get silks, we could get linens. I would trade all the sea salt in the world for that."
Yeah,
And if it's coming at the cost of an alliance with an elf, I would take that.
yeah.
That's where I'm just like, "Okay, this is a man who's like, you know what? Despite my political difference, I wanna make money. I want profit."
Well, he wants power.
He wants power,
That's what he
which again
sees. He sees power in this. He's in charge. He's gonna make the elves subjugated to him. That's his goal.
and and this is where again, they done it semi well, like very well, is he's just like and that is like, "And if my cousin is the one that wants to take the fall for this, why should I stop her?
Yep.
She's gonna."
Yep.
I'm just like, "That's the first politically correct thing that I've seen in this that I'm like, that makes sense."
Yeah. Yeah, Farazan's done a
Like,
great job.
in this episode. Last episode was I had no idea. But this episode, it really built it. Like,
I'm
it
sorry.
really just boom. I was just like, "Okay." But no,
So
just the political intrigue, the way it has
yes,
all been pulled in, it is very well done in this, and we needed more of this from the beginning. We needed this from the get-go, from when Galadriel landed at Numenor.
I agree. I think that would have been a great use of all the screen time is to go through and build that political intrigue. But instead they wasted their screen time. And speaking of wasted screen time and raging narcissist, Galadriel.
Ah, oh my gosh, her freaking training the Numenorian soldiers.
It was terrible.
It is
That
just
wasn't
like,
training.
even if you look that wasn't training, that was bad choreography.
Horrible choreography.
Like,
That
it's just so bad.
it really was. Uh, I thought for a second during that they were gonna have Isildur pick up his friend's sword and he go
I
in and fight,
know.
and I thought that would have been a great opportunity, and they threw it away.
I know. I felt the exact same way. I'm like, oh, Isildur goes in, picks up the sword, and is able to score the hit. And therefore, he gets lieutenant. He's able to kind of say, "Suck it, Dad." I was just like, I
Yep.
that would have made more sense to me
Yeah.
instead of him
I
going,
was.
"Ah, Galadriel."
Yep. It was just horrible. Um. Yeah. I just.
And
I
then
didn't
her
care
being
for.
the Mary Sue, taking on 4, 5, 6 guys.
Yeah. There's like 6 or 7 of them.
The only thing that I'm like, okay, they did one thing correct in this entire scene is the fact that she is using surroundings to help limit
Yes.
the numbers. That was the only thing I'm like, okay, that's one thing they've done correct, but the rest of this, no.
Yeah. Yeah. The fight. It was better choreographed than I expected, but it still wasn't where it should have been for a $1 billion budget TV series.
Exactly. And it's just like it's Mary her being a Mary Sue, and it's annoying, and she's just super annoying with all of it.
She's just
This
so cocky and arrogant, narcissistic. That's
it's and I
she, I put that she is a witch with a capital B throughout this entire episode.
basically, yeah, no, okay. So actually gonna quickly cover Muriel, because
Okay.
Muriel's not done well either. Like
No, she
everything
hasn't.
she says is condescending. Like,
She
this
is
is
a
where I'm
queen.
like, don't get me wrong, she is a queen, but this is where I'm just like, ugh, I just want to smack both her and Galadriel. And actually, I was just like, where was the note I had? Muriel is condescending and Galadriel is always impatient. So put them together, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And
Yep, I
it's
agree.
and it's just super annoying because she just Galadriel again trying to be her version of manipulative is just like after the entire boat scene with it catching on fire, she's like, "No, remember your faith, Muriel."
I know.
And then
I
she's
was
just
like,
like,
who are
"Yeah,
you to say this?
I know." It's just like it's just because you're not getting what you want that you're saying this. And this is where I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, Muriel's condescending tone is justified at this point. She's like, "Don't question my faith." Like,
Yeah.
in my mind's I just heard I mentally heard the witch with the beam.
Yep.
It's like, "Don't question my faith, witch."
Yeah. And that was exactly it. And that's all that Gladjul that's all she does is she pushes for her way. And if she'll be brash about it, if that doesn't work, then she'll be placating, and she'll be like, "Oh, like trust your faith. Don't forget about it. Remember who your people are." Like she guilt trips people into things and just completely manipulates them the entire time. There's nothing genuine in anything she has ever said,
0. Like, there is
and
0 emotion in anything she says. It's all about her getting her way.
yeah. And then I love so this part I did love when Hallbrand, and yes, I know that everyone's gonna say Sauron, and he probably will be, but I really hope he's not. Is that he gets her to admit that she has to fight. She can't stop fighting. And so it goes back to earlier where they're calling at the beginning of the Numinor section, they're all calling her the warmonger. That's literally exactly what she just admitted to. She is a warmonger.
Yeah, she really is, and this is where, for me, I finally put in the notes, is like, finally, we get a character flaw of Galadriel. She can't stop fighting. We finally get that character flaw,
Hmm.
which I'm just like, then they tried this entire series, the series itself, not her, not the world, her herself. Like the show's trying to say is just like they're trying to glorify her as a fighter.
Yep.
Again, not the show. Sorry, the show, not the world.
Yes.
And honestly, that entire confrontation scene could have been better. Like
Yes.
This is where there should like, honestly, Galadriel should have been yelling and screaming in all of this. Like, and this is where for me, I was like, heck, this is where for me, I was like, this is where in my mind's eye, this showed is Hellbrand or is Hellbrand Sauron? And this is where I'm gonna say, yeah, this is more Sauron, is because if because imagine if this was Aragorn. Aragorn was saying like basically saying you need Galadriel pulling this on Aragorn. He would have been a lot angrier. In my mind's eye, he would have definitely been kind of screaming and shouting at her. He would have been.
Oh,
He really
Halbrand,
would have been.
yes. Halbrand would have been screaming and shouting, yes.
Oh no, Aragorn too,
Or Aragorn,
because
yes, because he's a man. And so here's the I thought you were saying that Galadriel should be the one screaming,
oh, I'm
and
saying she should be too,
the
but
only reason I disagree with that, sorry, I just want to point this part out, is because thinking through all over the Lord of the Rings, even when the elves are angry, have you ever heard one of them yell?
true. Very good point.
So that's my only
Yeah,
point on that.
very good
Him,
point.
Halbrand
But
yelling,
because
yes,
but yeah, no, I'm thinking at least with Galadriel, the tone should have been harsher, if anything.
yes.
Should have been a
Harsher tone, yes.
harsher tone, if not like a little bit of, if not raising her voice. Because again, Hellbrand absolutely should have been screaming, shouting, yelling at her face, just getting nose to nose if it was Hellbrand. But the fact that he was quiet, to me, it proves that he's Sauron because it's more on he's trying to probe her for questions, trying to probe her, dig at her, make her confront herself. So that way he now understands her and knows how he can attack her.
Yep,
That's where I'm just like, Hellbrand being quiet was an interesting choice. And then it does prove to me that it is Sauron. Because if it was Hellbrand, he would have gone, are you kidding me? Why would I go back there? Why? They betrayed. They sided with Morgoth. Why would I subject myself? I swore I would never go back. Why? Why would I do this? Like it
yep,
would have been a lot harsher. He would have been more passionate about it instead of kind of taking a quieter approach, which kind
yep,
of comes to me as like he's plotting, he's putting stuff in place. And then just Galadriel assuming that she's evil, like the whole so I made a personal note in this entire thing. It seems like it seems like the whole tone or message of the series is that good and evil need to mix together in order to be powerful. Because if you look at as we'll dive into more of the Mithril, how Mithril was made, how good was poured into the tree along with evil, and how it mixed together and made Mithril the strongest ore. And then Galadriel saying, doing the whole cringe line of, sometimes to find the light, we must touch the darkness. Like this entire thing is just like like that entire line is cringe and is BS because that's not what Lord of the Rings is. Lord of the Rings is very much there is a definitive good side and a definitive bad side,
yep.
and they're going to war. There is a conflict.
And it's about overcoming the darkness. It's about
Correct.
so for people like Aragorn, where he had to overcome. So did Galadriel in the original trilogy, I
Mhm.
where she had to overcome the temptation of the ring herself.
Yeah,
And that's the thing is it's good triumphing evil, not blending together. You can't
and
take a little piece of evil with you to make you stronger. It'll tear you down and destroy you.
it becomes a chink in your armor,
It becomes
which exactly. To where honestly, if they're building up for that kind of message, where it's just like, yeah, no, we're trying to make her think that's what it is, therefore she develops more character flaws that Sauron will then exploit. Okay, I'll give it a little bit of credit
yeah,
for the misleading, but it really feels like the tone of the show they're trying to tell is that good and evil need to mix in order to be strong when it's not. It's they say it's either absolute evil or absolute good.
yep.
And
I
then
agree.
let's see here. But yeah, no, actually, one of the notes I had is like no screaming, no shouting, no. Well, what did I can't even read my whole note. Oh yeah, no tears
Mhm.
equals no emotion. Like, cause as Galadriel is saying, yeah, I lost my brother. No tears, no tears. Like this is a psychopath.
I mean, again, I haven't seen any of the other elves cry.
Yeah, I've seen an elf cry.
Who?
Erwin.
When does she cry?
You see it in a dream, but when she is mourning Aragorn's death,
Okay.
I
Touche?
believe. Again, I believe she does. I really do believe she
Yeah.
does because I know I've seen Erwin cry. Arwen, sorry, I've seen
Arwen,
Arwen
yeah.
cry.
Okay. As I was thinking Legolas with Gandalf, where he doesn't cry. He's stoic and very expressionless. So he's just kinda like contemplating it, but he's the only one that's not really crying. And then I am just a few of the other times where there's sad things. I haven't I was just thinking back to that.
Mhm.
But you're right. I believe our I yeah, Arwen I believe was crying.
Arwen was crying, and I believe there was again. We're going over to the Hobbit. The one female elf that falls in love with one of the dwarves. She cries
Yes.
as well.
Yes. That's true.
So elves,
Fair
again,
enough.
they're not emotionless. They do have emotion, and when it's more on when they show that emotion, it has that weight carried. Which honestly, if this was really going to be like Galadriel's character development moment, a tear would have gone so far.
It would have. It would have gone so
Be-
much further.
because it breaks down her because again, like throughout this entire series, she's trying to be the stoic warrior, like everything with it. And then to finally have her just go break down and cry a little bit would have
That would
made her more relatable, would have made her a better character. But no, they're trying to keep her as like this emotionless shell. And then, yeah, she doesn't even look like she's in pain as she goes over to Hellbrand to basically manipulate him some more.
yeah, no emotion there at all. Doesn't feel sincere at all. Very much so just I'm doing this so that way you will do what I want you to do.
Exactly. Like it's just it's very manipulative. And so and the thing is she doesn't admit her failure.
Nope.
She she's just like, "Yeah, the last team I led mutinied against me."
Yep. It's
Instead of
woe
like,
was me.
exactly, it's, "Oh, woe is me." I was just like, "My team mutinied against me." It's like, "You were quite literally looking for something no one was looking for." And they're
And
like,
you were
"Yeah,
pushing
we're
the boy up to
done."
that.
And they're pushing him to death on a mission they don't wanna be on.
And the king specifically forbade.
Exactly, they're like, "We're trying to follow orders. You're the one being a traitor here."
Yep. And then my best friend betrayed me and sent me off.
It's like, "No, he did it."
He conspired to do this. It's like, wait a second. You haven't even seen him since then. You don't know
You
what the elves are talking about. Somebody's metagaming.
exactly. Or again, I put Gladriel assumes that she is evil. Like she's assuming this. Like it's just like
Yeah.
just want to smack her.
Yep. Do you know what would be the greatest twist in all of this?
What?
If Galadriel was Sauron.
Oh, that would be good. That honestly, I would be so happy if that was the case because I'm like, okay, we're staying accurate to the lore now because Gladriel never went to Numenor.
How amazing would that be?
Oh, that would be the best twist. If that was the twist, I'd go, okay, you know what? Rings of Power just jumped up a couple ratings for me.
Same here. I really
And
hope
then
they do that.
I would have to go through and rewatch it, just like Galadriel Sauron, Galadriel Sauron, Galadriel Sauron.
New theory.
Hashtag make Galadriel Sauron.
Oh, please include that in the description for this
Oh, I
video.
will. Oh, I am. I am.
Perfect.
This is gonna be the next, like, this is gonna be the big one. This is how we're gonna we're going to bully Amazon.
We're gonna bully Amazon into making this happen.
Yes, make them that way. They can try to stick with the script they have with Galadriel, but it's like, oh yeah, no, technically Galadriel's Sauron now.
Yup. And then Halbrand can be the Aragorn character and actually be good, and
Yes,
I can like him because
we
I love
gotta
his
write
character.
this.
I know, right?
We can write better.
We're gonna create our own how it should have ended.
Yes, yes, we will. Okay.
Okay.
Anything
Halbrand.
else? Okay.
So,
Anything else on Numenor?
um, I think. Oh, just a comment about Halbrand and his foraging. I thought the sword he made was very beautiful. I really like that sword.
Yes,
It's
that was
very
a
elven,
gorgeous sword. Yeah, it was so gorgeous.
and so I'm very excited to see what else that he ends up making. Especially when he starts making the different rings of power because he's Sauron.
Okay, actually, I do have one final note in Numenor, which I think is
Okay.
kind of funny.
Yes,
I'm just saying, it took the horse to get Isildur to do something.
it did.
Just because he's like, okay, he's trying to connive his way, talk to his friends, use all those avenues, and the friend's like, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm sorry about your horse. What? Yeah, no, your dad conscripted the horse to be part of the cavalry. That's it. I'm sneaking on. I'm being a stowaway. I'm just like,
All the
really?
horse.
Really? It took your horse in order for you to go, I'm going to become a stowaway? Which is why
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe the dad knows. That's why he's just like, all right, you're going to like the star. You love your horse so much. Go pick up its crap.
Probably. He probably does. I hope he does. Okay, so Elrond and Durin. First
Best
off,
part of the entire series. Like, they are soloing this entire series. They are carrying it on their backs.
they are. Did you notice the closest thing to a swear word we have had so far?
No, what was it?
Oh, okay. So they're it's
I'm
Durin during the dinner when he's sitting at
mhm.
the table and he's talking to everyone and he was saying something about how elves take a long time to do things.
Oh,
And he
yeah,
said
yeah,
it
yeah.
takes them a century to decide to take a
Because I take a yeah, yeah, okay, I remember that, I remember that. I was like, we've technically had, like, their own version of swear words, like Owly's beard, like
Yes. No, I mean are swear words.
yeah, okay, okay. I thought you were meaning, like, other stuff like that. It's like, "Oh, is there another one I missed?" But yeah, no, the taking a
No. So I've two things with this. One, it was absolutely hilarious. Two, it has no place in Lord of the Rings for me.
Yes,
I'm
I
so
agree.
torn on that.
I agree. It's one of those things like, I'll let it slide.
I will let this slide this one time, but don't do it again. Because
Okay, so
honestly, I don't think there should be swearing in Lord of the Rings.
oh,
I,
yeah,
I
no, I
honestly don't.
agree.
And so saying like their own swear words is fine, but don't bring in ours. I am. I don't. Personally, I feel like does. They don't have any place there.
I know, exactly. I don't even think in the original trilogy there is a single curse word.
There's not.
There isn't. That's what made Lord of the Rings, in my mind's eye, so amazing and why it's so popular among the LDS community is because fact it doesn't swear, where it's just good fantasy fighting, where it's rated PG-13 for the violence, not the language.
Yes, because we as Mormons love violence. I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, we do. Dude, Book of Mormon, all the Alma, dude, yeah.
I know. Okay. So yes. Other than that, Elrond is the worst at the spirit of keeping an oath. He keeps
Yes.
the oath in every way except for the one that actually matters. And through all that, Gilgalad is just like, oh no, he didn't specifically actually say yes. When I asked him a very specific question, do they have it? He said, I swore I wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Really? Really? That's keeping an oath? No, keeping an oath is Durin at dinner where he throws it back at his face, makes up some other lie. This is sacred table. How dare you
Dare
dine on
you.
it?
We use this for memorials and monuments.
It's
And then which I just wanna quickly cover that. I
yeah.
busted up laughing so hard when he's just like, "That stone doesn't really mean all that to you." It's like, "No, but Diaz
I
wanted a new
wrote
table."
table.
Like, in my
Best
notes, I put
perfection.
Durin and the table, classic.
I wrote that ending with everything with that, the table and all that is utter perfection. That is literally utter perfection in how they did that. To me.
Which,
I
ye and for me, this is where I'm gonna go back on Elrond because in my notes, I was like, "Elrond is the man." Like, he is doing
yes,
everything in a lot of respects, he is trying to keep that oath.
he is.
And in one respect, he's just like, "You already know the answer to that.
Excuse me.
I don't need to say anything. You already know.
Yeah, it's
They
true.
already know." So that's where in one respect is like he never broke the oath, never even come close to it because they already knew. But for him, it
Yeah,
was more on he's taking the stance of like, I am not going to betray my friend. I am not
yes,
going to do it willingly,
and I
not even to save
appreciated
my
that side
race.
of it. Yeah,
So that's where for me, I'm just like, I see where you're coming from, but in a lot of respects, they already knew. They were trying to get him to confirm it, to
they are.
which he did, doing it backhandedly, as you very well pointed out. But
Yeah,
he at least then went and talked to Durin afterwards. He's just like, they already knew.
yep,
I didn't say yes, I didn't say no, but they already knew. They didn't need my confirmation. They already knew.
yep,
So let me see. Let's work something out. I'm going to tell you the
and
full story because you're my friend.
yeah, and this is where one thing I loved was Durin's reaction. This was perfect for his character because it kept with Durin's greed and his pride. He goes,
Hmm.
"Who holds the fate of all the elves in their hands? Me." Oh yeah, say it again. Tell me it again. And it fits
It's like
so perfectly because that is his greed.
it is his greed. It's his pride. It is
It
his
is.
pride. And it is the pride of dwarves, and that's where we really see it. Because to him, he's like, "Yes, I gotta stick it to the elves. He is my best friend, but I love sticking it to him."
Yep. And then as they're walking away at the very end, okay, I'm good with all this as long as you tell I tell your wife that
As
it was my idea. It's my gift. The table's my from me. He goes, "Don't push your luck."
it's like, "Hey, hey, your fate's in my hand. Why would I do this?" Like,
It's- and this was such a good friendship thing where leading into it, I Elrond knew that it could go one of two ways. He knows his friend, he knows his flaws, and so he was concerned about this, and justifiably so. But he tells him that some secrets, when you share it, are doubled. It's like the weight is either doubled or it's halved, and I really need it halved. And so Durin, he easily could have thrown it the other way, easily, and instead he shouldered it with his friend. And
yes,
he did it in the way that matches with his character, matches with his pride, matches with everything, and flowed so perfectly to be the best friend, still be a prince of the dwarves, and be able to have his own personal thing. All of that flowed so well together, and I just loved it. And that's why
same
you
here.
say Durin and Elrond are carrying this series.
Because they are staying true and authentic to the characters. Like, the one thing I always loved with Elrond, even in Lord of the Rings, is his humility and willing and wanting to help. He very much more understands the situations. He understands what's going on. And so
Yeah,
he does everything in his power to help, whether that be in The Hobbit, where they're trying to get to the Misty Mountains. He's
excuse
like,
me.
you know what? I know exactly where you're going. I know where his secret door is. I know
Yeah.
where because my friend built it.
Yep.
So here's the information you need on it. This is all I can do to aid you, though. I'm not going to be able to go help you because I got a city to run. And it's just, I love Elrond's character. Like, this series has made me love Elrond even more because I love how honorable and humble he is. Because even when Durin is saying, "All right, whose fate is, whose fate do I have in my hand?" It's not like Elrond going, "Ugh, the elves, our
No, he's
fate's in your
laughing.
hand." He does a small chuckle. He goes, "Yes, my friend, we are in your hands. I
Yeah.
fully admit it." So, and then that's where he's just like, and even at the end, it's like, how if we tell Diza I got you the table? He's just like, Elrond's like, I want to bust his balls one more time.
Yep.
Ge-
And it's such a great friendship and great way to do it.
and that's why I'm like, I feel like they've spent more on Elrond's and Durin's story, and they gave it more credit than the rest of the series put together.
Yeah, I agree.
And that to me, I'm just like, honestly, that's why in my mind it's called Rings of Power, not the Rings of Galadriel. Is that is that Elrond in every respect is the main character, not Galadriel. Galadriel should not be the main character, and
Yeah.
this is where I really want more focus on Elrond because i- if they cut in half all the stuff with Numenor and focused it on the dwarves, we could have gotten so much more stuff. Like we could have actually gotten the action scenes where Durin is going in and pulling those dwarves out of that cave in.
Yeah.
We could have gotten so much more.
Could have.
And just all of this is just for me again, yeah, Doron and Elrond are the best part of this entire series. And at the very end of it, I still want to shoot Galadriel.
Yeah.
And honestly, the season with the Numenorians should end with them getting on the boat and leaving. That's where it should end. Because they could have then built the entire first season onto getting to that point.
Yeah. They I'm trying to figure out how the series, like this season's gonna end. And I think the season's gonna end with the reveal of Halbrand being Sauron. I think that's how it's gonna end.
I think so too. When in actually in every respect, it would prove better to have that be like in season 3 or 4.
Or even have that be in season two. And so the first season be to the point where they leave. Season two starts where they get there and they start to do the fighting and such. Or even, yeah, so it could be like a mid season reveal of season two. So he's the big bad of the season
Mhm.
or of the show too, but it reveals him. And then they're able to have that big conflict there. Or he goes through with them for the entire season and reveals at the end of season two.
Yeah, like I could see that as a good twist to the end of season 2, and then season 3 is just building off of just like how is he going to keep his identity secret.
Exactly. So lots and lots of things, but and just to be
Uh,
sidetracked for a second, I just looked up and spring 2023 is when the Lord of the Rings Return to Moria comes out.
oh, sweet. Spring of 2023?
Yep.
All
Which
right.
also is when so the first quarter of 2023 is when the first season of Percy Jackson comes out.
Okay, so it seems like that spring is going to be busy.
Yep. But yeah, anything else with Elrond or Gilgalad or any of the elves and
Uh
dwarves?
Only thing I can think of is with Gilgalad, does he actually is mostly an honorable guy.
Yes.
Because this is where he is in the same vein as Isildur's dad.
Mm.
Because actually, like during the War of Sauron, him and Isildur's dad, they fight Sauron together and they get slain together.
Oh, I didn't know they died together. I knew that he was in the war against Sauron, and I know that there is one clip of him left in the Return of the King. or not Return of
Oh,
the King,
okay.
in the first one, in the Fellowship of the Ring. There's I because they had cut all film like footage of Gilgalad except for one scene, and it's in
Yeah.
the battle. There's that point where I thought it was Elrond originally, but he stabs down with the spear and looks up. It's Gilgalad,
Mhm. Yeah.
and that's the only
Uh,
time it shows him. But they cut all other scenes with him in the original series, like the original trilogy.
Because yeah, this is where again, they might not fall, like, together, like, in the same blow, but
No,
Sauron
but
was forced
yeah,
into the open and overthrown, but in the last duel, both the Dunedain king and Gilgalad were also slain. So they fought on the same battlefield.
yes, man,
So that's where for me, I'm like, I see what they're trying to do with Gilgalad, and I understand why he's having to make these choices,
yeah,
but I don't want him to be like, oh, frick, don't want him to be like the Dick King because he's not.
no. So I put in.
He's
Oh, go ahead.
Mhm. I say he's a king. He's a king that's looking out for his people. He's trying to do what's best.
Yeah, I put down that I would be frustrated if I was Elrond with what Gilgalad did, and I would
Mhm.
feel a little betrayed. But at the same time, I saw nothing wrong with what Gilgalad did, of him trying to confirm this, that this is something that's needed, and doing things in a way where there's not that bond between dwarves and elves. There's not a trust
Oh, yeah.
between the two. Why would he just go and walk up to him? He can't go and beg and like grovel to the dwarves for the mithril, but he can find other ways, and so he can find out if they have it. Then he can try and like trade from a position of power as opposed to I need this, but said, "Oh, I know you just started working on this. I have this insider knowledge because of my own reasons. We'll be willing to give you a
And
discount or like trade for this kind of thing, so we can get what we need."
again, it could even like I could see Gilgalad going, "Oh, I know this. So what's to stop me from telling others of what you guys have uncovered?
Yeah,
So why
all I
not
need is
have
the stuff I
us
need.
yeah, why not enter into a partnership instead where you guys can keep yours and you give me basically hush money to keep my mouth
Yep.
shut and we can build what we need to save my race." Like I could see that approach that Gilgalad did. This is where again, the entire side of the elves and the dwarfs that is so well built in Rings of Power. And that
Yeah.
is what in my mind's carrying the show.
Yes. I am one of the things with this. I just remembered. I had thought about it but didn't write it down. The mithril is what all the rings are going to be made out. I don't know if
Yes.
that's actually how it is, but I know that's what they're setting up for. And how he's talking originally about how every single elf needs outfitted with the mithril to be protected, so they have the light of the Valor with them. But
Mhm.
simply by doing the rings of those different rings is how they're going to actually spread
Do it.
the light of the Valor to protect all of them and keep it going as long as possible.
Mhm.
And they only need the three.
Well, I
So
think because again, I believe if memory serves is like all of the Rings of Power were originally like they originally made them for the elves.
when I had looked it up, it said that they made them specifically for each race. They had made the
Okay.
ones for
Oh
there's
yeah,
the
yeah,
nine
yeah.
they made for the humans, 7 for the dwarves, and 3 that the elves made for themselves in secret, so that way. But yeah,
Gotcha. But
so they did all this so the races could fight against Sauron. They made all of
yeah,
those to have the power of the Valor to fight against Sauron because they knew the elves wouldn't be the only ones standing against him. And
gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, so then Sauron turns
Uh,
their greatest weapon into their weakness and destroys pretty much everything.
yeah. Especially the race of men, because he turns, I believe, the 9 into the Nazgul, so
Yes, the dwarves kind of backfire. He was expecting the same thing to happen with them, and instead they just get greedier and start delving deeper into their own stuff and just leave them alone instead of
they're
fighting
just
with them. They're just like, "Yeah,
like,
we'll do our own
"Power,
thing."
power! We need to go deeper in the earth! Huzzah!"
But yeah. Well, I
Alright.
think that sums up everything from my end of things for this episode.
Yep, same here. So until next time, we'll put a bookmark in here. We'll shelve the book for now. We'll continue our discussion next time. All right. Thanks for
Enjoy.
tuning in.